This Saturday, more than 22,000 runners and walkers will gather in downtown Grand Rapids to take part in the Fifth Third Riverbank Run.
That group will include a Comstock Park woman who will be trying to do something that she was told wouldn't be possible.
As Larry Figursky shows us, a 25K run, 18 years in the making.
They are strides of hope, of perseverance, and inspiration, once considered impossible.
There's nothing else in this world that makes me feel like I do when I run.
As a young adult, Brenda Herron was an avid runner.
I ran anywhere from 6 to 10 a day.
A single mom with a young daughter, Brenda was in a nursing program in 1997, working in the trauma unit at a hospital in Greenville, South Carolina.
And I was wanting at some point to go to medical school and be a doctor.
But on her way to work, shortly before 7 a.m. on January 17th,
I think I was maybe a half mile down the road, and I was hit head-on by a drunk driver. He was also high on cocaine.
the other vehicle traveling at an estimated 100 miles per hour. The driver killed. Brenda left critically injured.
What do you remember of it?
Very little.
Yeah?
I remember a lot of lights. I remember a lot of heat. I do remember the metal crunching a little bit.
Suddenly, she had become her co-worker's most seriously injured patient.
Both of my ankles were crushed. My kneecap was broken into 8 different pieces. My wrist was fractured. I had glass in my eye. I had severe facial fractures on both sides, and this side was cut 2 inches wide and 2 inches deep, so my whole top jaw had been severed.
The facial fractures put back and held together by more than 24 screws.
The only memory I have is waking up. And I thought, did I punch into work? I can't remember. I looked around, I knew I was on the floor where I worked.
It would be nearly a month before she knew what happened. She would spend the next 2 years in a wheelchair, undergoing more than 20 surgeries.
There was so much trauma to so many different areas that we kind of had to do one little thing at a time and then, okay, let that heal and then go back.
Doctors had put her back together, but said she would never run again. Her chances of walking, slim at best.
They told me don't expect to walk, and you probably won't, and if you do, you're not going to walk normally.
But her responsibility as a mother drove her.
I had a little girl at the time looking at me, and I had her to take care of.
Then after 7 years of rehab in 2004, Brenda began running again. We were there a year later as she prepared for her first 5K at the Riverbank Run.
I know someday down the road I may be back in that wheelchair, and I want to make sure that I make use of every second I have.
She would go on to run numerous 5Ks and a half-dozen half marathons. Running taking her back before the accident.
I feel terrific. I feel normal. I don't feel like I have all these issues.
But by 2013, chronic pain in her body would let her run no more.
I was having a lot of physical issues,
including debilitating cluster migraines, the result of severe whiplash from the crash.
I stopped walking. I stopped doing anything.
By last October, they had become non-stop, pushing Brenda to a darker place than she had ever been before.
I was in a very bad place, and I told her I just did not want to live like this anymore. I said, it's miserable.
She tried any treatment she could. Finally one, Prolo, worked. And with the migraines finally gone,
I just said, okay, the only thing that makes me feel terrific is when I run.
So this January, Brenda decided she would not only try to run again, but would take on the toughest challenge of West Michigan's signature race, the Riverbank Run 25K.
Do you fear that, at some point, obviously, because of what happened to you, that it's going to prevent you from being able to run maybe a little earlier than it will for somebody else?
I'm almost certain that's going to happen. And I guess that's probably why I'm doing the 25K, because maybe I won't be able to do it again.
But this Saturday, she says she will, even though they said she never would. And I must point out, amazing that she's not only running, but she's doing so with a right ankle that was fused because it was literally crushed in that crash. And after all that negativity, she's such a positive person. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we were just talking about all the stories that come out of this race. Boy, that is a compelling story.
And there are great ones like that, and people doing things, obviously, as we said, that we're not expected to be able to do, and she's a great example of that.
She
pretty
certainly
amazing.
is. We wish her all the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Larry. Make sure you join us on race day this Saturday. We'll have a special 5-hour edition of Daybreak. The coverage starts at 5 a.m.